Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides with Schla. And today we're doing a few things a little bit different. I think I figured out how to tweak the settings properly. So they should actually be different, and it appears to be the case that they are, in fact, different. So, it's still going to be a tweak in progress type of thing. I don't think it's just going to be ended anytime soon, but yeah, especially now because I'm actually using a slightly different microphone because I got two of them and it should be the same mic, but I obviously don't know if there's possibly a slight difference between the two. I'm also, I feel like I'm having it a little bit more offset. That's the other thing as well. It's a little bit more offset from usual because that should help with plosives and things like that. And the way this one fits is a little bit different. I'm not really sure if the person modified it or not, or if since it's just like a different. I mean, it's the same mic, but it's slightly different. Wondering if that has anything to do with it. And it fits differently, and I thought it would be better for the car ride, so I figured, you know, I would utilize it, and everything looks fine, but you can't really tell from looks can be deceiving. Looks can be deceiving. Now, what do you think we were going to get to this morning? There's actually a few topics that I could talk about. It's not like there's just one. I had this dream that over the weekend I actually recorded, and like I woke up in the middle of the night and I actually recorded the dream. So I not only does that mean I have the physical transcript of what I had said, but it also obviously just makes you remember it more and better. So I do remember that one. And then I just had a dream today that I probably would have wanted to have done that, but I just didn't, because when I did that previous dream, it made it so it was very difficult to go back to sleep. So yeah, that was a no-go. It looks like the noise gate is working now. I think before, I'm not sure I don't think I remember what I did to fix it, but whatever I did, I think obviously fixed it. It's just, my apologies in advance if it's back to being too choppy. I know at first it was way too choppy. This should be better settings. Like, I have a little more understanding of how to work the noise gate now. So it shouldn't be as crazy as it was before, but I don't really know. Because again, like I said, the positioning on my mouth is a little bit different. The input gain might be slightly different. I'm just not touching it because I'm not seeing any yellow or red, and it's looking pretty full. So I'm just going with whatever I had it at. But yeah, I don't know. hopefully we're getting somewhere with these settings. I mean, even the EQ, that might be needing to be tweaked. We're still getting there. It's a work in progress. But yeah, so sadly I don't have the dreams from last night recorded. And again, that's only because on a work day I didn't want to have such a risk of not being able to get back to sleep. It's just not worth it. It's just really not worth it. Because I didn't know it would do that the first time I did it. I just talked, I think I recorded and I talked into the transcript thingy I have for about 7 minutes. And that was just what came out. So what can you do? What can you do? The other thing I'm noticing with this recording, now that we're dealing with professional level things, is it accentuates the same kind of idea of the flaw thing that I had noticed before, where there's certain properties or characteristics about the way that I speak that really should be improved or altered, especially since if I'm really trying to do this, it really should be like that. I feel like what I just said was not not the best way to say what I was trying to say. Or maybe, I mean, maybe it got the point across. I'm not sure. But yeah, there are definitely certain things that about certain mouth noises or certain, I know particularly with the way I pronounce S's, I really have to work on, because my S's are like incredibly sharp. And see, even now, if I'm concentrating on it, I can enunciate them a lot less, but it's still kind of it's like really big S's, and it's just not a good characteristic to have for recording at all. It does not come across well on a microphone. And so it's something I have to work on. I have to have very calm and subdued S's. That's like, but see, it starts messing up everything else I'm doing. But I have to try to figure this out, because there's got to be a way. And then even being mindful of any kind of mouth noise, really, and trying to get to the bottom of that. You know, it's just things you genuinely have to keep in mind. At least in my case, I think I do. Now, you know, you could make the argument that some imperfections are good because you don't want to be like a robot. Obviously, the perfect voice maybe isn't something that anybody wants. Maybe who would want to listen to that? We usually want to listen to things that provide some degree of character or something. You know, we don't just want to listen to something I'm noticing. about this mic and I'm not liking it is I actually thought it was like firmer grip wise than the other one, but now it kind of seems like it isn't. That's a little bit frustrating because it feels like it's slipping. Like I keep trying to put it up and then it's like not staying. So that's no good, but hopefully maybe where it's at is still optimal. It just doesn't feel like it would be. No, I guess it's probably fine. Again, we'll see how this recording turns out, but I still really want it to be up. I'm really getting tired of it. Let's just put it like way up. Now it should be. I think it just shifts differently from when I'm adjusting it to when it's actually sitting on my face and I'm not taking that into account. That's kind of what I think the problem was. So I've just been thinking of a lot of that stuff because the compressor really brings a lot of it out. But you need that compressor to get that good sound, and you gotta have your voice yourself be perfect. You can't just you just can't have all those flaws in there. And I'm expecting to be doing this kind of stuff for my career. Because some people, it's going to alienate some people. I mean, if you know anything about people, they're judgmental over the little things. It's the little things that matter. It's not anything too glaring for people. And, in my case, I guess I noticed that that's going to be something that could legit be a problem. I'm sure there's somebody who could be tuning into my content and they hear the way I'm saying my S's and they're just not going to like it. And they're going to think like, oh, I don't like how this guy says his S's, or I don't like in this recording how I can hear his breathing there. Oh, I don't like in this recording, I can. You see what I'm trying to get at? And in this recording, I can hear his mouth. Like, people are going to have a problem with that. People are they're just going to have a problem with it. And I do need to try to remedy that as much as possible. Now, I guess you could make a good argument that with the content I'm producing, the type of content that I'm producing, that isn't really a huge issue because, presumably the type of people listening to this kind of content, it's not all that superficial type of people. I mean, you would think, but a lot of it too, I mean, superficial or not, it doesn't even really matter. I mean, some people just, even if somebody isn't trying to be mean about it, they could easily just end up not liking it and not being comfortable with that noise. It could just be a preference thing. Yeah, it looks like the noise gate's working pretty good because now we're on the highway. And we get and it at first it looks like it's cutting almost all of it, but then it's letting a little bit get through. So what we know that means is that it basically only needs to be a hair stricter. Yeah, like just, I mean, it would, but it's very close to ideal. And I honestly, it might make sense to just leave it like this, honestly. Now, see, this is interesting because I've seen a trash truck before on the highway. And the last trash truck I saw, he was going slow. He was going, you know, I want to say 50 in a 65, and it was very slow. But this guy, I didn't even know he was driving a trash truck because I just assumed it was a regular truck because he was behind me and he seemed to be going very fast. And so this guy's driving a trash truck, but he's going like 65, which just seems kind of crazy to me. And I can tell because I'm smelling a lot of exhaust right now from that trash truck. So he's really burning fuel. He's really burning fuel just to do whatever he's doing. I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry, that really threw me off. Oh yeah, the thing looks pretty good. Oh, but it looked like, oh no, because that could have picked up. Yeah, never mind. I still don't think I'm super happy with this microphone in terms of its background noise rejection. I mean, I did all this research into it and it just doesn't, I don't know. I don't really get it. But yeah, at least where we're at now, I actually think this is a pretty good noise gate in general. I might just leave it. Of course, we have to see how the recording sounds. I could be sounding choppy. I mean, it doesn't look like I'm choppy this whole time. It doesn't look like it. But no. Well, okay. I don't know what it sounds like, even though it doesn't look like it. I wonder, I do think this could be a potential problem. The amount of episodes I'm not really diving into like a new concept or a new thing to talk about. Because a lot of episodes, I guess I just wonder if there's really much value to listening to myself anyways. I mean that would be pretty flattering if people actually felt that way, where it's like I could pretty much talk about anything and it's fine. I mean, in some ways, I kind of think some of these kind of episodes are good because you want, if anything, part of the problem with my content is it's not, like, it's probably not great to sleep to because, well, for some people it probably is if they just don't even understand what I'm saying. But I don't know that those type of people would like that. Well, maybe they would like the channel. I don't know. What I'm trying to get at is, I guess to me it seems a little bit concerning to have episodes like this where I haven't really presented any new kind of concept or anything. I'm just kind of talking about myself and my own thoughts. And that's cool, but I kind of think I don't really know who would want to be listening to that. Because it's not really any advice for you, and then it's not really entertainment. So again, like, it would be cool, but I'm not really sure. And then that brings me back to kind of what I was thinking about recently, where I know this is something I'm doing I mean, I'm doing it for myself, right? Like this is not about other people. I'm not doing this for other people. At first I was, but at this point, that obviously isn't the case, because if I was doing it for other people, I just would have quit by now. Like, there's no way a person, again, it's like that whole statistic that like a majority of podcasts end, they just end. They don't last because people just don't have like a love for the craft like I do. And again, it just took a while to get to this point because, yeah, like it just took a while to get here in order for me in my life to understand what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it, and just like, a hobby that makes me happy, but is also, because it's funny, I think this is probably still on the channel too. I think at the time I actually recorded it in one of those like super duper early 2020. Well, it wouldn't have been early 2020. I just mean like early as in 20. I don't even think it was 2021 yet. And I was saying that the problem with hobbies is you have to have a hobby that is objective. You can't have hobbies that are subjective. Well, I don't think that's the best way to describe it, but I'll keep going with my little description here. A lot of people do things for fun that they're like low-key ashamed of. And even if they're not ashamed of it, it's not like they're not going to be confident about what they're doing. So everybody obviously like has these things in their life. I'm not really sure what it's referred to as. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure is like the terminology. I want to say that's something I've heard before, and that would be correlated to the concept. Maybe not exactly with what I'm trying to say, but I think it's like a similar, unless I'm just over taking that term too literally, but I think I'm actually taking it correctly. You have something that you like, but you're not really comfortable sharing it. It's not really cool. A lot of people would probably judge it. It's not something that's universal. I honestly think, broadly speaking, video games can fall into this bracket, even though it typically doesn't manifest that way. But if you think about it, yeah, well, here's kind of an interesting concept. A video game you wouldn't think would fall, because like everybody likes video games. Everybody is usually pretty supportive of it because like everybody's doing it. Everybody plays games, and so if you are also playing a game, this is like a huge way of how people bond. It's a huge way of how people bond. So on the surface, it doesn't really seem like it would be that big of a deal. It just seems like, oh yeah, like of course a video game's cool. Like it's not something I'm necessarily ashamed of. That's something I can publicly put out there. But I think we kind of forget, as accepting and as normal as video games have become, like they weren't always that way. There was a time where, a lot of people kind of did judge them. And so basing it off of that, and also what I'm about to say too, the thing about games is that if you're playing a game that other people don't play, that is not meaningful. Like, they're not going to think it's cool, or like they're not really going to have anything. It's only like when you're playing a game and then the other person also plays the game. Then that's how you have like a connection to it. And then that's when it's seen as cool. But it's only if the other person does it. I mean, I know it's kind of hard to think about, but even with Minecraft, like, the only reason why that game is the titan that it is because it's basically like an entire generation has played it. But if somebody within that generation didn't play it, then you're not. They could easily like make fun of you for playing it, or think like, oh, what? That's just some like blocky game. And I think it's interesting to kind of validate bullies in a way, because it comes to like a critical or a higher end nature in a critical analysis of how you spend your time. And that is true. So there's certain people, I guess, would criticize me for what I'm doing. You know, there could be a bully that thinks maybe I shouldn't be posting these until I figured myself out better. This is just the rough draft. Why would you post that? You know, or making fun of me. Maybe they don't think I'm good. Like, there's always going to be bullies. But what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, the fact that I do this, I think it's pretty cool. Like, I don't think that me talking during my commutes, it's not something that I'm ashamed of at all. Like, it's not really, I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's fun just like a video game to me, just like what everybody else is doing. But at the end of the day, at the end of the session in this case, I have something extremely tangible to show for it. And I think there is an importance to that. I really do. I think there's something incredibly important to finding a hobby and finding a thing that you actually like doing that has that tangible aspect to it. And a video game just doesn't. It just doesn't. Now, you might be a higher level within the game. You may have something to show off within the game. But like I said, that doesn't actually have any value to a human unless the human you're saying it to also plays the game. Whereas there's certain things that everybody just understands what the value of it is, because a podcast is a podcast. Everybody knows what that is. Everybody would know what a radio show is. If you made music, if you made songs, even if people are going to criticize your song, they automatically know the inherent value, because they know what an album is. They know what, if you say you've made this X amount of music, that's something that people instantly understand and can comprehend. But if you say your level like 173 and, blah, 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 like it's just random numbers to people. If somebody hasn't played that game, there's no meaning to it. And so now when you look back and you've spent so much time doing these things, and you don't have anything tangible to show for it. Now, I guess in a way you could say, the way I think, it's extreme. It obviously is extreme compared to a lot of people. Most people would just never really be this like critical. And I don't even think the world has to be that way, because I mean, everybody's called to do their own thing, and maybe some people just aren't. They just don't. I don't know. Like I don't. It's not really. Like, it is what it is. But I guess I'm saying this for the people who are really thinking about things, and trying to think about, well, what would be a better way to spend my time? And this is obviously it. There's certain mediums, there's certain things you can do with your time that really will have these tangible results, and there's other things that don't. There's just other things that won't provide you the same productive nature, and that's just how it is. And it's like something really important. There's certain things that you would want to flex and that you wouldn't want to flex to somebody. Like, I don't really know that. I mean, some people do and they don't care, but you typically wouldn't want to flex that, oh, I stayed up all night playing video games 8 hours straight. I'm super tired. This is not doing anything fruitful. There's nothing to be gained of it. And a lot of people wouldn't judge it because then, at this point, a lot of people do the same thing. But I'm meaning in a hypothetical where we're just judging things objectively based on health and based off of objective metrics. Like, it would just be kind of silly to do that. There's no reason to do that. And I've talked before about the sleep thing. It's really a perceptive error. So people who stay up, it's just unwise. You're not gaining any time at all. Like it's this whole thing I've already talked about before. But that is true. I mean, everybody has different standards when it comes to their hobbies. And I guess the main point is you really have to have something that you feel cool about, that you can tell people and be like, yeah, I do this, and really put it out there and not feel like ashamed about it. And at least in my case, when I was a kid, I just played video games and that just really wasn't that cool. I didn't ever get into an instrument. I never really got into a sport. And so it's just interests that aren't very objective. And, I think Chat GPT or an AI, like if you asked it this, it would be pretty interested in softening my delivery. But at the end of the day, I think what I'm saying is very true. In just in general, that there are just implicit values to hobbies, and you can't necessarily just equate video games broadly in the same category as other like you can rank hobbies. A hobby is not just a hobby. I mean, even within video games, that can easily be ranked too, because there's a difference between somebody who plays like a very mentally stimulating, like complex game that, really does a lot and arguably is doing a lot for your brain, versus like somebody who just plays Candy Crush. You know what I mean? That's not the same thing. Now they're both hobbies, but it's just true that certain games they're just not that productive, or they're not as good or beneficial to the brain potentially. And we can clearly observe that, that not all games are created equal, and this whole thing that you could get into. So yeah, I just think a lot of people don't like doing it because we're not even going to say we all, but most people nowadays just fall into like pretty strange and in some cases pitifully unproductive things as a result of our technology. It really has opened up the floodgates to just, all kinds of nonsense and like really, games that are, because like I said, I mean, I don't just think all games are bad. I think that would be like a stupid point. There's nuance within that. I mean, some games, if you're good at it, actually matters and there's a community behind it. Other games, like I can't imagine like the person who's like the best at Candy Crush. That just doesn't matter. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I'm using Candy. I've never even played that game. I just don't know what a better example is for what I'm talking about. But I think nowadays that's kind of the thing is you can not only are things kind of more judgmental than ever, but they're at the same time less judgmental than ever because you can genuinely find a lot of people who just fall into the same things where a lot of us now are in these positions that we're not really in a place where it's all that valid for us to be judging just because of where we're at. Wow, this thing is really being annoying. Ooh, that's fire. I can't believe I got that. I should have screenshotted that. I got it like at 59 seconds. That's like the second time. Oh my gosh. I just love that because they don't go down to the seconds. They only go down to the minutes. So if you clock in at 59 seconds, you're still getting like all those 59 seconds basically for free. So that's technically like perfect. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm not necessarily vilifying all video games or anything like that, but the problem is due to the scattered nature of games that games typically present. It creates that problem where there's just not necessarily meaning behind it. I mean, I even think games that people are familiar with, it can also still be kind of weird or not all that. Like I still don't really think it would be that impressive if you were like, oh yeah, like I've had this Minecraft world and I've spent so much time in it. Like I think a lot of people would be like, oh wow, like that's you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm just getting like kind of grumpy myself, but it's just I don't know. I feel like there's not much to it, and like when you're an adult, it's fine now because like I said, I feel like nowadays there's basically these different echo chambers for it all where you really can find other people who will validate these things, but I'm saying that it's like the type of people that you're going to be around are going to be different depending on what you do. And truthfully, like I think there's a lot of people who work and then they don't really have too much of a hobby life. And then some people would say to those people, oh, well, they have no life because they're not really enjoying things properly or something. Some people act like that towards them, but you got to think like Well, is that really making sense? Like they're actually better off, even if they like, even though they hypothetically have no life, they're actually like pretty good. They're pretty well off because they're prioritizing what they're doing and stuff. So their life is their job, and that's something that's very recognizable and objective, and they're obviously getting a lot out of it. And there's just so much. There's so much to it. But anyways, I do believe that it's been schla, and now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya schla.